All right, rock and roll. Here we are. Welcome to the Scorched Earth podcast for Thursday, January 23rd. 3 days in, and it already seems like a lifetime. You know, it's like going on that road trip with the family, and they say it's going to be 16 hours, and it literally takes 16 years off your life. It's like, oh my God, we're already at 2.5 days. Oh, Lord help us. But we trudge on. We trudge on. Remember again, hit the subscribe button. Please, producer Stacy, I do not want to see her perform Harry Carey on herself, okay? We need some subscribers. We're not going to commercialize. We're not going to put ads. We're not going to charge any money. We're not going to have paywalls. Come here for the best analysis on the web. Also, leave comments. Please be gentle with me. I just moved from an Android to an iPhone. It is literally like relocating to another country. Everybody who has an iPhone tells you how easy it is. Oh, it's so simple. Yeah, I get it. When you've been doing it, it's like English. It's real easy once you've been speaking it your whole life. When you're coming from another country, not so easy. I'm that guy. I'm not even coming from another country. I am literally coming from another planet. It took me 12 years to perfect my rudimentary Samsung things. And now I'm in the iPhone world. And it took me 3 hours to figure out how to get to the home screen. Yeah, I know. Retard. Yeah, no argument. Just go ahead and label me with it. It's like, oh my gosh. And then you see everybody else, they're just whipping it around. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to turn the phone off. I mean, I really don't. Oh, God. God dang. It's just like going out with a really good golfer, and he's like, oh, yeah, this is how you get out of the sand trap. I'm like, yeah, right. I'll tell you how I get out of the sand trap. I pick the ball up and I throw it. All right. The theme of today is how to start winning. For the Democrats, for the progressives, the fight for 2028 starts today. Let's take political convention and throw it out the window, okay? They all start the campaign a year and a half out, you know, this, that. Oh, let's run the primaries. We need to create the narrative. You know, one thing I admire about Trump is that guy starts every day lying. He goes to bed every day lying, and he never stops. He never deviates, okay? I got to say, the guy is relentless. I will give the devil his due. He straight up is. I've had enough of seeing the emojis of Obama laughing with Trump. Today, we got a little highlight. We got Amy Klobuchar, one of our more progressive Democrats. And for some reason, she was the chair of the inaugural ceremony committee. Now, I don't understand for the life of me why we have a Democrat as the head of this committee when the Republicans are getting into office, but okay. Maybe this is just part of the elitism club, okay? She says the theme this year is our enduring democracy. Yeah. You know, she also said she had a 10-minute talk with Trump about the fires in California and about this year, and she said it was a pleasant talk. You know, what the fuck? What is this all about? I don't understand, as a Democrat, as a liberal, how I'm hearing all this stuff out of the DNC and the progressive wing that Trump is evil, that Trump is the son of Beelzebub himself, and then once he gets elected, it's like, yeah, everything's cool. We're all cool. Joe and Jill Biden had tea and crumpets with Donald and Melania before the inauguration. Look, I get that you show up to the inauguration, but it really strikes me as hypocrisy when you sit there and say Trump is a threat to democracy. He is evil. He is terrible. Okay? You give preemptive pardons to your family, and then you have tea with the guy. It's like some guy out there stealing my girlfriend and me going over there and going, hey, man, you want to go to Cancun this weekend? Like, What is that? What nonsense is that? At some point, do words not have meaning for the progressives, for the Democrats? Is it all just BS to just pull the wool over our eye? It could be. It could be. I just haven't gotten there yet. And it's making me more and more disillusioned with the political structure. Forget the Republicans, forget the Democrats. In the back of my mind, I want to believe the Democrats are the good guys in this story. But maybe it's just the puppet master behind the scenes and they're all evil. I don't know. It just makes me want to throw up. And I want to throw up in Amy Klobuchar's face. You know, middle finger to you. You know, she's the one who went after Al Franken. And Al Franken, because he made a couple of gestures about a passed out woman around her, she was well endowed. He made some like that. He lost his Senate seat. I mean, what? Okay. Yeah, right. It was really about that. Oh, yeah, but, you know, after the fact, it's okay. We can go ahead and we can buddy up with Trump. And, you know, after the guy said, hey, I'm going to grab girls by the pussy. Okay, what's real and what's not? I mean, make your stand, Amy. Make your stand, Hakeem. Stand for something. And what you tell us something that's goddamn true. Because it's all bullshit. I'm getting tired of it. You know, it just is getting more surreal. You know, one time I was in North Hollywood and I walked into a Carl's Jr. I'm on a first name basis with most Carl's Jr. because of my girth. And I looked over in a booth, in a regular booth, in an empty Carl's Jr., there was Keanu Reeves eating a hamburger and a Coke. And I'm like, wow, I'm really here with Neo. I'm with this guy. I'm with John Wick. And I think, you know, LA's a little different. It's not like we see celebrities all the time, but if you do see celebrities, it's kind of like, we're not going to say nothing. I mean, they're just people. They just want to get on with their life. He's eating the same crappy burger I am, okay, at Carl's Jr., okay? This guy needs a little clearance there, right? But the fight is going to, I think we need to redirect the Democratic Party. And we're going to harken back to the Trump pardons that came out on his inauguration day on Monday. There was 1,500 people charged in the January 6 riots. He gave pardons and commutations to everybody across the board. Didn't matter what J.D. Vance said about the people who assaulted police officers. We're not going to get out. Sorry, J.D., you're on the wrong train. 5 people in that group were convicted of seditious conspiracy. Now, the definition for everybody who didn't hear my previous podcast, which shame on you, seditious conspiracy, the criminal definition is a federal crime that involves plotting to overthrow the U.S. government by force. Okay. You know, and I thought I had problems with jaywalking tickets, right? 100 police officers were injured on January 6th, okay? 2 died shortly after. So there's obviously some serious physical penalties to be paid by the brave law enforcement. But let's not forget that the Fraternal Order of Police Union endorsed Trump in this past election. Of course, when a spokesman was asked for the contradiction about officers being attacked at his behest, they said no comment. Yeah, I think, you know, at the end of the day, they're all in the same boat. No comment, no comment, no comment, no comment. Of course, when they pull you over, they want a DNA check without a warrant, you know. So let's start down the list of a couple of the highlights of the people he commuted their sentence. Let's start with the winner of all winners, the head of the Proud Boys, Enrique Tarrio. He had a 23-year sentence. His sentence for seditious conspiracy was to overthrow the results of the 2020 election. Okay? He was found guilty by a jury of 12 people. And we got Stuart Rhodes. He's the founder of the Oath Keepers. Yeah, there's another winner group. He was sentenced to 18 years for seditious conspiracy after he was in charge of the plot to stop the certification of the 2020 election. All right. Seems like they got all their ducks in an order. That really worked out well. Then we have a couple of the Proud Boy leaders. Joseph Bess, Zachary Real, both got 17 years for seditious conspiracy. Birds of a feather, right? Ethan Nordine got 18 years. Now, he got a bonus year because he had some extra felonies on there. Because, hey, when you're a white supremacist, when you're a racist, you got to have some more street cred. It's just not the tattoos and the killing of other, minorities. You got to do some other stuff. So I'm not sure what he did. And finally, we're just going down the seditious conspiracy people, okay? Before this, only 2 Americans had ever been tried and convicted of a seditious conspiracy since the Civil War. Right? We got this winner out there. Her name is Kelly Meggs. She got 12 years for seditious conspiracy and other felonies. Okay, obviously she wasn't all up in that. Now, all these people have been released. They are home. Terrio is in Miami. The rest of them are released. They don't have to serve anymore this time. Those sentences that were given down by juries and judges meant nothing. Also, for any males in my audience, I'm sure Kelly Meggs is on Tinder now. You can look for her. She has the swastika eyebrows. Easy to spot. But really, where I'm going with this is we need to get our heads out of our ass, okay? The Democrats and the progressives. 2028 is the election year, but the election starts now. And what we need to really do is focus on the fact that these pardons were criminal. Let's understand what the next 4 years are. The Democrats, the progressives, are going to have 5 billion things they are pissed off at with Trump. He did this, he did that. You know what? Maybe it's true, maybe it's not. Let's take a second. But if you really look at how Trump won this election, he did it on immigration and inflation. That was it. 2 issues. We need to slow down and put it into a very, very economical way. And what we need to do is run a damn Super Bowl ad. We need to run a Super Bowl ad where we have pictures of the riot and then pictures of Trump saying he signing the pardons and saying, I have pardoned all these people. We need to have pictures of the family of those officers who are dead or have been severely injured. We need that. Run it in the Super Bowl. Create the narrative. Create the fact of where we are in this game. Because once you create the fact, it never goes back. You can say something, whether or not the border is being overrun, the Republicans got there first. They created that fact that this is being overrun, which, okay, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. If the economy's so bad, why are immigrants trying to get in here? But let's forget using facts and common sense. At the end of the day, they do a better job of picking an issue and framing it. You got Fox News hammering it all day. We need to hammer this issue. He gave out pardons. And here is where it really comes to roost. The national polling is somewhere around 75% of the people disapprove of the pardons. You have to seize on that. You cannot wait. In a year, everybody is going to forget about it because there's going to be so many other train wrecks. It's not going to matter. You need to run the Super Bowl ads now. In the 43 most competitive districts that Republicans hold now, 80% of the people in their districts are against the pardons. 55% of those people, the Republicans in those districts, are against the pardons. You need to cement this. You need to put this into reality. This needs to be like Moses bringing the commandments down from the mount. You need to get this ingrained in people's head. So in a year when they forget and you go, hey, let's not forget the pardons, people go, oh yeah, the creep did that. Don't let him off the hook. This is ours. I'm not blaming anybody, but I am blaming people. You've got the money, the DNC. Quit saving it for trips to the Waldorf Astoria. It's time to put the money in now. Create the narrative. Start the campaign now. Congressional races are in 2 years. We need to take back the House. We need to take back the Senate. Do it. Quit fucking around. I hope Stacy didn't hear that. Producer Stacy. A little on the lighter side of the news. We got Scott Bessent, and he is going to be the Treasury Secretary. He was in confirmation hearings, and this is kind of like a soft spot in my heart. He's probably a good guy. I don't know. You know, just because he's a Republican and he's in the administration doesn't make him a bad guy. You know, there's a lot of good people who do care about America. Like I said yesterday, a lot of my Republican friends, they're good people. I'm not going to, you know, we may disagree on it. We may have a different value. We may have a different priority, but I know they're good people. Scott Bessent is up for the Treasury Secretary. He went through confirmation hearings, and what I didn't know is some of the senators asked him if he had ever done volunteer work. And basically he said, well, no, he was in the Army. He was a private. He was gay. And he really didn't want to get outside because there was some anti-gay bias going on in the military. Don't ask, don't tell type thing. So he really didn't want to stick his head up to get shot off. You know, I understand that. I really do. It's a stupid policy we had back then. But, you know, society progresses at an incremental rate. You know, you can't expect everything to be perfect overnight. And I was so proud that none of the senators really beat him up or didn't really say anything about him being him being in a same-gender relationship, right? Same-sex relationship. He had his husband behind him. He had his 2 beautiful kids behind him, and I thought it was just wonderful, okay? Just a guy just trying to do a job, okay? But I thought, you know, this is kind of really in contrast to where the party is on trans rights, right? Trans rights, those, you know, the gay people, because there's more and more of them becoming out of the closet or affiliating or aligning with the Republican mantra, they're kind of accepted now, right? But the trans aren't, right? Until they all of a sudden start voting Republican, then it's all going to be kumbaya, right? But we did get quite, and I think it's 6 months ago, in August, when the RNC had their convention in Milwaukee, we had 3 of the winners of the Republican Party. We had Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, and he was saying how trans is indoctrinating kids. Well, you know what? That's what the Republicans were saying 20 years ago about gay rights, that we're indoctrinating the kids with the possibility of gay marriage and gay relationships. I grew up Catholic. I heard that every day. Well, then we have the winner of all winners, Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was at that convention remarking that Easter was destroyed because Transgender Visibility Day was also on Easter. Okay. We're just going to have to get the Catholic Church to just move that holiday, I guess, so we don't conflict with Trans Visibility Day. I mean, okay, right? Like, is there one person in America who thought Easter was diminished because that day was there? I mean, how many people, I do think there was a lot, who thought Martin Luther King's Day on Monday was sullied by the president being inaugurated, but hey, that's how it lines up. You know, the Republicans didn't have a problem. They thought it was all cool. Kumbaya, right? And then finally, the third speaker was that great black Nazi, Mark Robinson, from the great state of North Carolina. God, shout out. I love the Tar Heel state. He was running for the governor, and then all of a sudden the porn thing came out, and he was a black Nazi and blah, blah, blah. We don't need to go into it. He lost the election, thank goodness. But he, at that convention, described homosexuality and lumped it in with the trans movement as filth. You know, at the end of the day, the trans people are people. And I know it's a political hot topic. And personally, I don't really like keep getting into this trends. I think I'm going to kind of move off it. But it's kind of getting a little more visibility because that's all the Republicans really have on the social thing to go after. But at the end of the day, and it's like I keep saying, they're people. And like I was talking to producer Stacy today, and I told her, I could care less if somebody identifies as a man, woman, child, dog, cat, lamp. If it saves somebody from killing themselves because they feel so alienated and isolated, I say, fuck yeah. Go ahead. It doesn't bother me. And, Trump saying there's only male and female. You know what? There's only smart and not smart. And you are an idiot. There should be a third category for you. These are people. These are Americans. They're not some aliens. They're human beings with a soul. Now, well, you know what? There we go. That's what we should put on Trump's application. Soul or not having a soul. Yeah. Check. All right. He also announced this week, Trump, that he was going to have the Stargate AI initiative. He announced that they were going to put $500 billion into it, and that private business was going to put $500 billion into AI, and we were going to accelerate the AI thing, and we were going to jump ahead of all these other countries and blah, 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 blah. Maybe there's truth or not. But then Elon Musk obviously didn't get this memo, and I'm wondering how long this marriage is going to last. And he came out and said they don't have any money. He said, the coalition has less than $10 billion. Where's the other $490 billion coming from? Now, he said this on X, his platform. Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, which is literally the biggest AI program out there, said that he's wrong. He's a good guy, but he's wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, man, I love having a front row seat to this cabinet. This really has to be, and I wasn't there, wish I was, like that feud they had on the Fast and the Furious when The Rock and Vin Diesel were going at it, and The Rock was saying Vin Diesel was lazy, didn't know what he was doing, and Vin Diesel, of all people, was saying, hey, he doesn't know how to act, and he doesn't care about people. I'm like, wow, man, this is like the ultimate cat fight. And, of course, we saw him at the Golden Globes this year, a couple weeks ago, actually, and, man, that was awkward. It was like, oh, geez. They actually had a movie they were in together, and on the Fast and Furious, I think it was 8, and it was a 2.5-hour movie, and they didn't share one scene together. Oh, man. That's like most marriages today. You get that bedroom, I get that bedroom. I'm telling you something right now. If I ever got married, I think that's on the table. Let's have separate bedrooms. When you're young, you're like, oh, man, we could stay in a futon together. And now I'm like, wow, man, separate bedrooms is pretty cool. I'm starting to dig it. I like to be able to, have a drink of water, do whatever, not worry about waking her up. Well, I sleep alone, but that's what George Thorogood said. Finally, we're going to go to the Elon Musk. Yeah, he seems to be a pretty prevalent guy. We might as well enjoy him before he gets kicked out of the cabinet. The Nazi salute. And I was talking to a Republican friend, and she said, the media does distort this all. She said, I see photos of Elizabeth Warren, other associated Democrats making the same salute. And you know what? I'm going to say you're right. I'm sure that's probably happened. There's a lot of photos out there. There's AI generated ones, but I'm sure she's right. I'm sure there is plenty of those. But the problem with it is that just like the political honeymoon that we're all having, it seems like a lot of our leaders are having with Trump, Klobuchar especially, that I take it with a big grain of salt. I mean, a shaker of salt. And then we're going to dig a little deeper here. First of all, the Anti-Defamation League, which I'd say in America is probably the spokesperson, the spokesvehicle for the Jewish people, was the first one to perform fellatio on Elon Musk in his little salute. And they said they asked for grace and healing, and then it seems like he just made an awkward gesture. Okay. You know, that is an awkward gesture. Let me tell you what a real awkward gesture is me on the dance floor. I literally look like I am having an epileptic seizure twice over. I mean, really, when you see me on the dance floor, you run for the defibrillator. You're like, oh my God, this guy is stroking out. It's over. It's over. I mean, I am so awkward. I make Elaine from Seinfeld look like John Travolta. I mean, literally. I am moving parts of my body I didn't even know existed. And they are not in synchronicity, okay? I'm telling you right now. And so we're talking about awkward gestures, and they're asking for grace and healing for what this let's say starter Nazi is, Elon Musk. I wonder how they felt about that October 7th incursion a couple of years ago by Hamas. You know, maybe it was just an awkward gesture. You know, they got their boundaries. Their Thomas Map Guide, their GPS got a little askew. Yeah, they thought they were going to Egypt. They didn't know they were going into Israel. Hey, it's a common mistake. Sometimes GPS gets messed up. What are you going to do? So, but the reason I get a little more skeptical about the Elon Musk thing is in January of this year, a couple of weeks ago, he had a 70-minute infomercial chat with the wonderful Alice Waddell, the head of the far-right Alternative for Germany party. Now, listen to that, Alternative for Germany. Now, I did some deep diving, and I don't understand this, so stay with me on this. Alternative for Germany party is called the AfD. Okay, Alternative for. Isn't Germany with a G? Why is it a D? I mean, do the Fräuleins not know how to spell? I don't understand where the D comes from, but let's move on. It's the AfD for the purposes of the rest of this conversation. So Waddell, who's the leader of this party, has tried to recast AfD as a conservative libertarian kind of alternative. You know, same way that I could say I'm going to go for mac and cheese and not call it cyanide. You know what I mean? It's just like she's casting it as mac and cheese when really it is suicide. And at the end of the day, nobody's really buying it except Elon Musk and the platform that is Twitter. And Twitter is giving unfettered and uncensored access to the AfD on that platform. Let's not forget how big and powerful Twitter really is. Now, Germany's own domestic intelligence agency calls it, quote unquote, a radical faction. Well, we've seen this story before. Doesn't the FBI call the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers the same thing? Yeah, bingo. I guess the AfD is going to be elected next time they have an election. Now, here's some of the great comments that AfD leaders have said in the last year. Listen to these winners. Hitler and the Nazis are just bird shit in the 1,000-year history of Germany. That's a little blip, huh? That's like just saying in America, the stench of slavery was just a blip. It was nothing big, nothing to see here. Didn't do nothing. We're all good. And the subsequent segregation, you know, the Plessy versus Ferguson, that separate is equal. And we have, you know, unfortunately, the African Americans, they don't get full civil rights for over 175 years? I mean, you know, 180 years, whatever. Man, might even be 190. Oh my God. You know, I mean, how pathetic is that? The AfD, now here's the clincher. AfD leaders have constantly complained that the Holocaust Memorial in Berlin is shameful and that the problem is it makes Hitler look evil. Yeah, it sure does. You know, it's funny. Sometimes things really don't change. They stay the same. Isn't that what I keep hearing about the Republicans saying about Trump? That he's not evil. He's just misunderstood. A leopard can't change its stripes. That's a classic line out of Den of Thieves 2. All right. You have a good day. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and please leave your comments. And please I will respond to all the comments I get, but please be patient because I got the iPhone and I am an idiot. Thank you.